So, Pat, how do you fish a jig?
Well, when you're fishing a jig, there's two things that I keep in mind. I either want to imitate a bait fish or I want to imitate a crawfish. It's a little bit cooler right now, so we're trying to imitate crawfish. So that's why we're choosing these darker colors. This is a Yamamoto jig with a pork frog on the back, and we're essentially staying out here into some of this growth. We're pitching it into the growth, letting it go right down the grass, and when you're gonna hop it, you'll actually feel them, you know, kind of pop it or thump it. Give them, you know, a fraction of a second, set the hook, and, you know, we're using pretty stout gear. We're out here in 9 foot of grass right now. It's all milfoil, but, you know, hopefully with this cold front, this will be where they are. If not, you know, we'll change up during the day.
So on the hop, that's when he'll hit, you think?
Well, it really depends. I kind of let the fish tell me what's going on. Sometimes they'll hit it on the fall, and that means that the fish are actually up higher in the water column and in the grass. And if that's the case, you know, we'll switch to a lighter jig. But right now, I just have a feeling that, you know, we had some sun earlier today. With the cooler weather, I'm imagining that these fish are going to be closer to the bottom, and that's the reason why we're fishing these big half-ounce jigs.
So when it's windy like this, it's starting to pick up. What's the best way to fish in a bass boat? Are there any tips that you can give in operating the trolling motor?
You know, typically I like to fish into the wind. It's easier to be able to control the boat when you have a force pushing at you and you're going directly into it. Right now I'm kind of just looking at this weed line more than really seriously fishing right now. But without a doubt, in the wind, the best way to handle it is to head the boat right into the wind itself.
And what about casting into the wind versus casting with the wind?
I always like to cast into the wind. Again, it's that same control. You have to tune your reel so that you're not going to backlash, and you really can't get those monster casts, and that's okay while we're flipping this jig and pitching a jig. But I kind of like to fish both, you know, the bait as well as keep the boat directly into the wind.
Man, the wind's dying down a little bit, sun's coming out. I'm sweating now.
Hey Mike, try throwing this black one for a little bit.
So does that really make a difference, the black trailer versus the yellow with green flake?
Well, you know, in dark water, I tend to use darker colors. So, you know, it's been kind of a rough day. We might as well stack the deck in our favor. I think having a black trailer with all this muddy water is a good deal.
I still am not totally clear. Why is the black better in muddy water? Well,
in darker colors just tend to show up in silhouette a little bit better in dark water. And the same thing is true for light water. When you get into a clear water situation, some of the lighter colors seem to work a little bit better. It's just what I found. It's a general rule of thumb, but I found it really works.
So I throw this out, letting it sink down, hopping it a couple times, making it act like a crayfish, but what am I looking for? What am I trying to feel when does the fish pick it up? Is he tapping it? What's the deal?
Well, what you're going to be looking for is they hit a jig a couple of different ways. Sometimes they hit it on the fall, and that's why it's important with a jig to kind of understand. It's called bait awareness. You want to be aware of, you know, how deep are you? You know, how long should it take to hit the bottom? You really want to watch your line because sometimes they do. And actually, I just got hit right there. There he is. Little one. That's a pickerel. Little guy. You want to be aware of the bait. You want to make sure that, like I said, they're not hitting it on the fall. If they're not hitting it on the initial fall, when you do hit the bottom, you want to just make sure that you're hopping it back to the boat. What you're trying to simulate is a crayfish. Crayfish actually move backwards. So I found that just a good general cadence are 3s. So I'll let the lure hit the bottom like it just did, and then I'll pop it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then let it go back down to the bottom again. Always keep it in contact with the bait, and this way you can feel either that tap. Sometimes the line just generally moves to the side. With jig fish, it's a little bit different than worm because it's not always an aggressive tap, tap, tap. Oh, there's one. There he is, Mike.
That looks like a good one.
Nah, a little one, but man, tell me he didn't want that jig. Look at that. It is gone. Oh, man.
Whoops, that's my G Loomis. I don't want to do that.
What happened?
I'm a little frustrated.
You lost the jig?
I suck.
Oh, you had him?
No.
Oh, well.
Okay, no. Fishing is supposed to be tranquil, peaceful. Okay, sorry.
Feel the energy. Be
Sorry.
the water.
Okay, I'm just.
Be the
I'm
jig.
seeing Pat over there pulling up fish left and right. You know, I got the same bait. I'm not getting bit. It takes skill, this sport. You know, you hear people all the time, oh, fishing, it's easy. That's no sport. That's bull. Fishing's hard sometimes, man. God. Okay, just gotta settle down.